Welcome back to Homeopathy at Home with Melissa. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Bree, it's so good to be with you tonight to talk about malaria.
Yeah, this is one we've been looking forward to doing. I think this is something you and I are both, not malaria itself, but when these things come out, we usually address them and like to talk to you guys about it. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason that we're doing this is that you might have gotten my email. If you're on my email list, you might have gotten that earlier this week, or it was late last week, I guess. And really just people started coming and saying, what should I have on hand in case, somebody gets malaria? Well, if you're not familiar with the concern, basically there's been a handful. Bree, what did you find? 7?
Yeah, as of July 7, there were 7 diagnosed cases in the US.
So
they had said up to 2,000 are diagnosed every year in the US, but they're typically from people who have traveled. So the last I read, I only read a couple sources that said 5 could directly be linked to, like, they did not traveled recently. So the concern is that it's here. But that was in Sarasota, Florida, and then in Texas.
Yeah. So there's been some cases reemerging in the United States, and really for the first time in 2 decades, I believe is what we found when we did some research for the email, and everybody's recovered. So there's also been some speculation about the timing of these cases, since the news follows the release of genetically modified mosquitoes over the last 3 years in some of these states. And there is also apparently there's a new malaria vaccine coming on the scene. So of course we're going to make you scared of malaria so that you'll run and get your vaccine, right? But what I wanted to do here tonight, and with this podcast episode, and making it free so that you can share this widely so that everyone can just be ready. So Bree and I are not at all worried about this at all. The remedies that we know to use, you have on hand. If you have a kit, you likely have 98% of these remedies. If you don't have a kit, these are easy remedies to get. This is not anything to be afraid of. So somebody had asked me, is this a real threat? Is this a real concern? Not to me. Got remedies, and homeopathy works beautifully. Malaria has been around forever. Right? And homeopathy works beautifully. So the purpose of this is to prepare you. And I need to say,
because we already had a question about testing too, and I did look that up.
Okay.
How we test, but go ahead and give a disclaimer.
Look at my sunbeam here. What am I going to do with that?
The spirit of Jesus is with you.
Yoo-hoo. Okay, so we are not experts on malaria, and that is not. I apologize if you came into this thinking that you were going to get some answers about malaria itself. You guys know I do homeopathy. Bree and I do homeopathy. We're here to teach you the remedies, or not even really. This isn't going to be a deep class. This is just, we're going to tell you which remedies to use and when or why you would use them, and then answer some questions. So if you ask very specific questions, if you're live here tonight about malaria, we may or may not know the answer. I'm not an expert on malaria. I am an expert on homeopathy. That's what we want to do, is prepare you. So if somebody gets sick in your house, you know what to do and you're ready. All right.
God has given us such a gift in homeopathy. And I just want to reiterate, our heart is always to reduce anxiety. We don't have to be fearful, and we're not here to, we are here to help with the anxiety, but just feel confident, like, get prepared, and it's going to be fine. I really am. I'm not concerned. We know things are blown way out of proportion very often, but here we go. It's going to be easy.
Yeah, this is going to be quick and easy. I already shared the graphic. You were emailed the graphic when you signed up for this live. And then for those of you that are listening on the recording, the graphics will be somewhere available, a link to the graphics, or they'll be attached under the podcast episode, or whatever I can figure out to share. But what I'm going to do right now, if you're listening to this as a podcast, you should know that you can also watch this on my YouTube channel. MMC Homeopathy, I believe, is my YouTube channel.
Mhm.
Okay.
I look at it often.
Okay. And so then you'll be able to see, I'm getting ready to share my screen. I'm just going to share the graphic with you, and that's what we're going to go through. So what can you see right now, Bree?
I can see your whole page.
Well, you can see all the background stuff too, or
No,
just the
sorry,
graphic?
just the square of the
Perfect.
graphic. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So eupatorium. This is prevention. Listen, I really, really, really want to nail this in. I almost didn't put this on the graphic because I know that some people are going, if you're really worried that some people might go and start taking eupatorium every single day. I really don't want you to do that. Eupatorium 30C twice per day when there's a high likelihood of exposure. So there are cases in your neighborhood or in your community, right? Then if people around that live in my community start having malaria, I might take eupatorium 30 as a prevention. Not right now, just because there's the word malaria going around, okay? All right. We all know that if you've been bitten by anything, anytime, mosquito or not, you're going to take Leadum 30C twice per day until you're very much better. So if you get bitten by a mosquito, you're going to take Leadum. You don't have to say, oh no. I mean, in fact, y'all, I had a mosquito in my room last night. I was like, what? What's this mosquito in my room? So don't take eupatorium just because you were bitten by a mosquito. Take Leadum. Okay, Leadum 30C, bitten by anything. All right, so now the active, these are the infection remedies, and these are just the top remedies. Let me just say, in your Materia Medica, if you have a Materia Medica, repertory, if you have a repertory, then you can look at it. And of course, you guys know that I love Dr. Murphy's repertory. There are 5 pages on malaria in the repertory. Obviously, these remedies that are on this graphic are just the top ones. So if you have more specific things that come along with concomitants, is what I'm trying to say, symptoms that go along with your malaria, then you can go and look in the repertory and see what else you might need. So China, of course, China's been around since the beginning of homeopathy, and we would use it in a 6C would be the best potency at least to begin with. And this is going to be great for dysentery, fever, fatigue, vomiting, diarrhea, loss of vital fluids, gas, bloating, indigestion, irritability, and hemorrhage. These are all symptoms of malaria. And so this is when you're going to choose China 6C. Now, how often to take it? Remember, you're going to meet the intensity of the condition with the frequency of dosing. So if you are, dysentery is pretty severe. That's bloody diarrhea. That's serious, right? So we're not just going to take 1 dose of China, and we're not going to just do it twice a day. So if you've got some severe vomiting, diarrhea, loss of vital fluids, then, in dysentery, you're going to be, of course, you guys listen, if you have to go to the hospital, you have to decide when to go to the hospital. I am not telling you to go or to not to go. I'm telling you, China 6C can be taken very often if your symptoms and your condition is severe.
And you can take remedies if you do go to the hospital.
That's right.
So you can take them no matter what.
All right, Arsenicum album. I would do it in a 30C or a 200C, and this is going to be great for anemia. So if you start to hemorrhage and you become anemic, Arsenicum album is great for anemia. If you have anxiety around you know, that you're having these symptoms and you're very anxious about it, Arsenicum is going to be your great remedy. If you have any burning pains, diarrhea, dysentery, fatigue, fever, gastritis, gastroenteritis, nausea, vomiting, or cough. So again, so you know, a lot of these symptoms are going to overlap. And so what we do is you could make a list of the remedies. Maybe you would get a piece of notebook paper and you would write the remedies across the top of the notebook paper, make your columns, write your specific symptoms under each remedy that matches. The longest list wins. Okay, so if I have all the China symptoms and all, you know, 5 of the Arsenicum symptoms, whatever. So if I have 8 China symptoms, 5, then I'm going to use China because it's a better match. Chininum sulfuricum 3X in liquid and eupatorium mother tincture once every 3 hours is the first line Banerjee protocol. That is in the Banerjee protocol book, which is on page 95 in your Banerjee protocol book. Okay. So this protocol, along with Nux vomica 30C every 15 minutes for 3 doses for fever, and I copied this straight out of that book. So for 3 doses for fever of 103 or higher and chill, leave this out if those symptoms are not present. When there's no fever, Natmur 30C once per day for 2 months to prevent the recurrence. So I literally just copied this straight out of the Banerjee protocol book. So for those of you not familiar with Banerjee protocols, if you're going to use a Banerjee protocol, you use it based on the diagnosis of malaria, period. You use it as it's written, you follow it, and if it's not working, then you can move on to one of these other symptom specific remedies if you want to. So any of you could opt to start with the Banerjee protocol if you want to. The malaria nosode is a combo nosode from all 4 types of malaria, and it covers chills, diarrhea, fatigue, fever, headache, sweats, and vomiting. I don't know where you can get the malaria nosode. Maybe I would always check Taproots first. They carry some of those remedies that you can't find other places. You might check OHM, which is a pharmacy in Texas, if you have access to that pharmacy. And then if those US based pharmacies or stores don't have it, then look at Ainsworth's, Helios, and UK. Do you have any other suggestions, Bree, of places that might have that?
That's all that I would say too. That would be the order.
Okay. Okay. Baptisia. Baptisia has the fever, infection, chills, diarrhea, headache, fatigue, cough, and body aches. Baptisia is, so when we're talking about the flu, I usually go to Baptisia and really bad sore throats or even strep throat. Baptisia is usually one of my last ones that I use after I've tried all of the regular normal things, just because Baptisia seems to be so bad. You know, and so it doesn't mean that you can't go to it first. If you fit all these symptoms, you know, and maybe you choose to also look at it in the Materia Medica, then if it fits you really well, it's not that you can't use it first. That's just kind of how I work. And then Cina. So you need to know that Cina is different than China. They're not the same. And Cina is great for vomiting with malaria. I would do Cina 6C, maybe a 30C if you can't find 6. If you have 30, I think that would be fine too. Baptisia, I would probably do, I'd probably do a 200, but if you have, you know, if you have a 30, that would be fine too. The malaria nosode, I don't know, maybe a 30, just because, you know, 30 is like in the middle. So you can just, and then, you know, you might need to go up or you might need to do something different. Okay, If there is spleen enlargement, which can happen with malaria, but maybe doesn't always happen, then this remedy, Cianthus americanus, is the main indicated remedy for spleen enlargement. And I did just want to look at that really quick because there's no symptoms in the Materia Medica. It's just okay. It's a really big one also for anemia and a spleen disorders. It has it does not what I'm kind of skimming here. I don't see malaria listed, and that is okay. Oh, it does have malaria. It sure does. Under the comments section, it has malaria in bold. It says malaria, intermittent fevers and chills, and for severe cases where the spleen will swell. So if you have peripheral edema with swollen spleen with malaria, I would use this remedy. And you can use more than one remedy. Just like you see in the Banerjee protocol, they're using more than one remedy. I am very comfortable using more than one remedy. So if I had a spleen enlargement and, whatever, any of these symptoms up here, then I would use both remedies and you could spread them out by 15 minutes. Okay. Those are the remedies. What questions do you have?
Questions about the remedies? Okay. I want to clarify real quick. We have China, Chininum, and Cina.
That's
so
right.
China is also cinchona.
That's right.
I just heard China. So most remedies are much more similar to their nickname. So I typed in China and Chininum came up and that's what I ordered. So
Okay.
Chininum is actually different than China.
A good point. China is Peruvian bark. Cinchona is another name for China. Mm-hmm. And then Chininum is quinine, salicylate. Salicylate. So they're a lot alike.
Okay. So do you take the remedies until very much better, just like you would other acute situations?
Oh, just like an acute situation. That's right. So if you've got the flu or a cough or a cold or whatever, yep, until you're very much better. That's right.
And then let's say they're using other remedies, not the Banerjee protocol. Could you still finish with Natmir 30 for a couple months following?
Good.
Okay.
So what was that? Did that say once a day or what did it, do you remember?
What did it say? I think it meant once a day. I don't know. I can't remember. It's on page 9. I can look at here too.
I've got it. It said Natmir 30 once per day. Yes. Yeah. That would
maybe that could work no matter what. And then would you think Cina to be appropriate for a couple of months because it's a parasite, or only if those specific symptoms are showing up?
I think only if the symptoms are showing up. Cina is such a great remedy for when you've had lots of the loss of vital fluids. It's going to give you your energy back. So if you're low on energy,
Cina does that too?
Cina, yes.
Okay, so Cina is similar to China. Okay, are you thinking China?
I am thinking China. Yes.
Okay. So Cina is on that remedy list, but not because it's a parasite. So I think that's what they were asking.
Yeah. So Cina, if you look at the Materia Medica, and Cina is absolutely, we all know that as a parasite remedy, but it's on the list because it says, I'm looking in the Materia Medica. I'm pretty sure that it is specific. Okay, so clinical does not mention malaria. Interesting. Hold on, let me find it. Comments. Okay, I just very quickly skimmed the comments and I don't see the word malaria. So it looks like Cina is listed in there because of the parasites. Well, yeah, I mean, okay. Yes, because when malaria is when you get bitten by an infected mosquito, the parasites go into your bloodstream, they go to your liver and they multiply. So that is why Cina is there. And so that would make you think maybe you would want to use Cina and whatever other remedy that maybe that your symptoms aren't covered.
Yeah. Okay. So you would be comfortable doing that.
I would.
Okay. I thought this was a great question / suggestion from Hannah. Thank you. She said, if someone is afraid now and tempted to take the eupatorium when malaria is not near them, perhaps a dose of arsenicum for the fear of getting sick.
So
for the
good.
anxiety, right?
So good. Absolutely. So such a great recommendation. Yes. If you're afraid right now, Arsenicum 200, maybe just once a day until you feel better. Or even Ignatia. So Ignatia's got all that worry.
Yeah.
Arsenicum is really really scared and fearful over your health, and Ignatia has worry. So yeah, great suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, so a couple of people said the malaria nosode is at OHM. She got hers there.
Awesome.
And then Stephanie, I don't know if you meant that it's in the Taproots virus kit, like the nosode was. So maybe if you could clarify that for me, what you meant by that. Could you clarify again, Melissa? You had mentioned you don't use Baptisia. You see it work really well, but you don't use it first.
So I'm not saying that I would not use it first in malaria, but when I'm helping somebody with the flu or a strep throat, it's not my first go-to. It's one of the last ones because usually belladonna, gelsemium, mercurius, those other ones work really well. And when none of those seem to be working, or when the strep throat is super bad, like it's just, there's all the bad smell coming from the mouth, the Baptisia symptoms, then I'll go to Baptisia. So I didn't mean to make it sound like it's scary and don't touch it.
I'm sure there are people who do start there regularly and just just it differs.
Especially if it's worked for you in the past, just go to it.
Okay. Would you recommend the Seonithis? I don't know how to say that remedy. Made that up. In a 30C as well, just a good middle potency.
So because we're talking about spleen enlargement being a physical condition, yes, 30C would be fine. I probably would do 6C because it's an organ. I would do 6.
Okay. Okay. This is a good question. Okay, so Stephanie did clarify too that the malaria nosode is in the Taproots virus kit.
Awesome. So like the virus kit that's from my course that I taught. Is that the same?
I don't know if that's the same one. I will look into this while I ask you the next question. It just said it's the virus kit. Yeah, honestly, it looks like it's the same one.
It is.
Where do you see that?
So this is malaria, virus kit. So this is if you own this kit and you haven't taken my viruses course yet, this kit goes along with my viruses course. And I forgot that malaria is in there.
I know that.
Hey, I have it.
Cool. Okay. Okay. This is going to be a good one. If you do not have a remedy when you need it, would you consider using a paper remedy? I thought you would love that question.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Do you want to like what does that even mean? Some people probably have no idea what that is and why we wouldn't suggest that.
I don't want to make anybody feel bad, or please don't hear judgment in my voice with this. So if you've been doing that and it works for you, you know, of course do it. So when when I first heard of paper remedies, okay, let me explain that. So some people, there might even be different ways to do it. Will write the name of a remedy on a piece of paper and put a glass of water on top of it and then sip the water. I think that's the way they do it.
That's the way I've heard as well.
To me, that is, I don't know a better, I don't know a nice way to say it.
So maybe we can say homeopathic remedies are made scientifically in a certain way from an
No,
actual substance. So manufacturing, maybe, or like, I don't know the term that people would use, that it is technically an energy medicine, but because water physically holds the energy of that substance, not
right.
coming out of thin air. So
That's right.
scientifically, to me personally, that does not make sense, that the energy can't be just spoken. You know what I
Not
mean?
good. Right. So the word, I'm sorry, but the word hokey just comes to my mind. That's all I can think of. And again, if you've been doing that and and it works for you or you like it, please don't hear judgment in my voice. I'm not going to do that.
That's just our personal perspective on that.
That's right. Homeopathy is medicine. It's medicine, and we need to, yeah, and you know, it comes from a pharmacy and they make it just like you said. You said it beautifully. Thank you so much.
And even if we were to make a remedy at home, it would be from the
A
tincture or the
substance.
substance, or, you know, the thing that it's coming from. Um, and this was fun. I thought this was cool. And I totally forgot until Sage brought this up. She wasn't the malaria, one of the first Hahnemann's, he used malaria symptoms as like when he was discovering homeopathy.
That's right. So that's the first remedy that he used, was that where he developed homeopathy was from China, from cinchona bark. Mhm.
Yeah, and it proved homeopathy, malaria symptoms.
Symptoms of
That was
malaria. That's right.
fun little factoid in there.
Yep.
Thank you for reminding us of that.
Mhm.
This one was also a good one. Kathy Diaz, we love her. Hi, Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
Um, would you recommend taking Staphysagria to help prevent the mosquito bites?
Yes, if you
Yeah,
are one to get bitten, yep. Oh, I actually meant to add that in there. I am so glad you said that, Kathy, because
I know,
that
it was a
was in
good
my
one.
mind to say. I've seen it so many times. I've seen so many people. If you're prone to be bitten by mosquitoes, you can take Staphysagria before you go out. I mean, I know people in real life, local, that do that.
I am one of them.
Works. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Good recommendation.
And just so you know, potency, I take it, I have a 60. And what I did last year was give it to me and my boys once a day for, I think, a week, maybe 10 to 14 days. And then I didn't really notice. I definitely noticed it really, really diminishing. And then, of course, this summer, I need to do it again. I just haven't. But yeah, it did work well the rest of the summer. We still got some, but I'm talking like we would get
Wow.
eaten alive.
Yeah,
So it was very cool. I put it to the test.
I love it.
Um,
I don't get bitten, and so that's why our joke is, if you've ever heard us in the past, I always make fun of, or I tell Bree she needs to eat more onions and
I
garlic.
know you do. And you know what? It's probably not untrue. But I feel like I eat a lot of it, unless I'm just like eating an onion like an apple. And I just think I wouldn't have friends.
Yeah.
Um, okay. What do you think about the radionic? Is I say that correctly? The machine
Yeah.
to create the remedy.
Yeah. So I don't know. Okay, here's the thing. Let me
Come back
say.
and forth.
Okay, I do know. I don't have one, but I would have one as a total backup if everything shut down and I couldn't get remedies anymore. Okay. And the only reason that I would have one is because the UK homeopaths that I learned from have those machines and they've used them. Wait a minute. The radionics machine, is that the same as the remedy maker? Is that a remedy maker?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I guess I
So
didn't know that.
they have, the UK homeopaths have used these machines for years and years. And I heard personally from their mouths, these remedies work. So the thing is that they don't last, they expire. So if you make the remedy on pellets or in liquid or whatever, they're not going to last forever, like if you made it from the mother tincture. Okay, so what I learned in college was like maybe 3 months at the most, which is fine. I mean, all you got to do is plug in a number, right? And just do your, yeah, you're not going to make whole big bottles of it. But I don't have one, and I don't want one unless I can't get the, the remedies from the pharmacy. Then I would have one.
And in case that sounds like contradictory, I would say that it creates a frequency,
That's
right?
right.
Like energy.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
technology can probably match that, as not as close as, or not to the real thing, but close enough that it can still work. Where we feel like a paper remedy is different because it's just a written word on a piece of paper. It's like a manifesting thought. I think that's, I don't know. You ask our opinion, we can share that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's technology.
Okay, this is a little bit off topic from malaria, but I think it would be fitting still. Baptisia is a common tick-borne infection, usually a co-infection with Lyme, and often it mimics malaria. So would these maybe be appropriate?
If the symptoms
remedies?
fit, yeah, if the symptoms fit. That's why I love homeopathy. We don't have to have, it's not about the diagnosis. It's what do the
Right.
symptoms look like? Do the symptoms fit? Use the remedy. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's all our questions.
Yay. This was so fun. Thank you all for being here. And this is, like I said, this is a podcast recording. And so it'll come out, I'm not sure when in the future, but you guys, have been here. And so, oh, there's more
Yep, we have
questions.
some more. Okay. Baptisia 30 for Lyme. If somebody asked, I would think a 30 is probably safe in all of these remedies, with the exception of the one you said to use in a 6 for the organs.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Another
That
one
it?
was thank you. Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm going to stop the recording, and I see more questions coming. Do I need to?
Nope, they're just thanking you
Okay,
for your
thank you.
wisdom. Kathy said she lives in Florida where they release near where they release those mosquitoes. Kathy, throwing this out there, we live probably like 20 or 30 minutes away from each other. I just found that out.
Yeah,
Like I saw where you were posting. She's so local to me. That's exciting, you guys.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you all for being here.